big organizations have big design systems. They're very complex. You might be thinking that because it's a small team and not such an enterprise build that there's no complexity here. That's far from the case. Because we're using the IBM Carbon system, we have to know how to work with and manipulate tokens. So if we look at some of the IBM Carbon design system, some of the kits, we can see here that there's a variety of variables that we bring into our work in progress file, especially over here on the web library. So we do see some tokens and a variety of collections and modes that we inherit out of the box. And so when the time comes, once we validate the business direction, once we know we have a strategy and we can bring value to people, we make that traction, we iterate the prototypes, we move closer and closer and towards pixel perfection. We continue to refine and refine and refine. And as we do that, we will be manipulating more of these tokens and branding them more towards this particular brand as we go. There might even actually be a dedicated effort where we say, look, it's time to really polish this up and let's brand this thing and let's make it our own. And that happens a little bit later after we know we're headed in the right direction. So if we come back to our approach in health and we look at our pillars again, we can see that visual design and user interface design effort means that we feel pretty well aligned, that all of these things are in alignment and that we're ready to deliver concrete material. Don't think of this as waterfall. Again, all of these things are in constant state of flux throughout the entire project. There's no harm in working all across the board here in concurrent work streams. What I'm trying to say is there's no point right now in skinning and branding everything unless you have the workforce to do it. I'm designer of one. I want to validate the approach we're taking before I start putting paint on the walls. So that's the analogy I would use there. And let's go back and continue to look at how things are structured. So we come down here to my local components. You'll see, if you recall, we're bringing in all those IBM Carbon libraries. We can, just to demonstrate, we've got a box here. I'm off. Oops. Sorry. So what we'll do is we'll just take a look just to ensure that I'm not crazy. So I'm importing the UI web and I'm also importing the IBM colors. And so we have those two libraries here that we can choose from, and you'll see all those different tokens that are ready for us to go. So that's that. Over on the assets view, we'll take a look at how I've set up my local components. So I do have these sections that help me group different component parts. These are all custom parts and patterns that we're mashing up. And in a moment, we'll run this, the prototype, so you get a feel for it. But you can see here that I am importing those components from the web UI, and it comes in with all their different properties and variables and variances and all that good stuff, so I can make these changes as needed. But also, of course, using the color palettes that we have down here. So this is also from the IBM Carbon, using the brand button color in that instance. And if I wanted to, of course, I can go out and manipulate the masters by saying go to main component. And here we go. We're in the IBM web, and I can start to customize those things. What else? I think I'm using some best practices here. If we're looking at the conversation UI panel, which I believe is right in front of us. Here we are. You can see different different groups that I have in here. So I do have an array for system responses, an array for user intent, a console. This is kind of where we bring in different patterns together and into the chat console. Got some AI generated images. This replaced the images for that I was using on the NDA work. If you were to see the images, it'd be a dead giveaway. So went out and generated some AI artwork in the style of Norman Rockwell. I like these. I like the way those look. So, all right, we've got a couple of animations over here as well. Let's take a look there. So if we turn the prototype on, we can see some of the animation effects. Very straightforward animation stuff. Not getting too crazy with it right now. Just to drive it home, this prototype, this experience does leverage some mapping. So the technology that we choose to generate the map part of the experience is something that I need to be cautious about. I don't want to get out in front of that too much. So we're really just trying to articulate a concept here with these exercises. And then when we choose the technology to do it, the documentation will give us our limitations and opportunities. And if I may, coming back to approach and health, when we talk about the second pillar, functional specifications and content requirements, that documentation that comes from the mapping piece, again, do's and don'ts. So we want to know what those specifications are before we start designing interfaces. And right now we don't know that. So that's why we call this a proof of concept. And that's all it is. So we don't want to go too far in our design. We just need enough to sell it to venture capitalists so they can see the value and go, yes, we'll fund that. We want to put just enough in there so the people that we put it in front of go, I would buy that. So that's where we are. That's a high level structure of my Figma environment, and I hope it was helpful. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Thank you.